This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I'm going to do a review of the infamous UWF Beach Brawl 1991 Herb Abrams pay-per-view, which I rewatched yesterday as I actually have a broken leg right now, which you can't even see because it's white. Or you might see a bit. Anyways, I got a busted leg, so I had some spare time on my hands and I watched Beach Brawl. I just want to make a couple of points of my news update related to Tony Khan that I just did, saying that it wasn't that great. The WWE shouldn't be bragging that John Cena and The Undertaker and Cody Rhodes and Becky Lynch, among others, on NXT getting under 1 million views. It's nothing to brag about. Mr. Beast has 100 million more subscribers, by the way, than WWE. WWE has 97.6 million or something. Add 100 million to that, and that's what Mr. Beast has. But WWE does fantastic. The other thing, NWA, I forgot to mention, Billy Corgan is saying they have a TV deal now with a top 20 TV station. Best of luck to them. He also said in this interview where he announced a TV deal that YouTube is fairly meaningless as far as wrestling. Wrestling videos aren't getting recommended as much. I do agree on that, where he said that is true. But NWA doing so poorly on YouTube over the years. He's just not putting out that great of a product, because I've been kicking NWA's butt in YouTube as a non-multimillionaire. It's a fairly poor person for years now. So imagine what I could do if I had Corgan's money. But I'm not going to talk about that because I'm here. I like Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins, by the way. I have nothing against the NWA. I just think that they could have a little bit better product overall if they want to be more successful on YouTube. AEW is doing pretty well on YouTube. They got like 4 million or 3 or 4 million subscribers pretty quickly. WWE is making a fortune on YouTube. Impact, from all of their money or all of their years of existence and being on YouTube for so long, makes a fortune on YouTube too. So this UWF Beach Brawl took place from the Manatee Civic Center in Palmetto, Florida. It was a pay-per-view and released on videotape. Now, I must have had 2 videotapes of it somehow, because I sold a whole whack of my videotapes last year, because I didn't think I would ever watch them again. But then I found a couple more boxes of videotapes, and I borrowed my parents' VCR. And I've been watching them over the past few days. And I had, I guess, a second copy of this UWF Beach Brawl. So they must have done okay in videotape sales if a guy from Canada had 2 tapes of it. And according to the pay-per-view buy rate, they did a 0.10 pay-per-view buy rate, which, looking it up, WCW Uncensored 2000 only did a 0.13, and a 0.13 was 60,000. So 0.10 is about 50,000, from what I understand from the research I've done. And Sin, the WCW Sin pay-per-view, did a 0.10 buy rate as well, apparently. So he didn't do too bad for everyone calling this pay-per-view a disaster. And the other thing I want to say is I got the WWE Network here in Canada, which is through Sportsnet, not through Peacock, and it's horrible. I didn't keep it. It was very hard to navigate. Never figured out how to cast it to my screen, and I figured out how to cast everything else. Every other app I've ever had onto the screen was really complicated, and it wasn't as detailed as the network is on Peacock. But through the pay-per-views I watched and did watch-alongs for the WWE Network this year, including the first night of WrestleMania, which I had to tap out of, I enjoyed this pay-per-view better than anything I've seen. any full show. I've watched a couple episodes of Raw. Um, I watched the Dynamite from Winnipeg and I think a couple other Dynamites. I mean, the Dynamite from Winnipeg was pretty good, but I really enjoyed this pay per view. So overall, you can call me an old school fan. There was not one super kick on this pay per view. There was not one super kick. And honestly, the promos from Herb Simmons, I haven't seen the Vegas pay per views. I don't have any interest in watching them. I'm not gonna watch the pay per view that they did from Vegas, where I understand Herb Simmons allegedly was more coked out. He did not seem coked out in this pay per view. He may have been behind the scenes, but on the videotape version, maybe the live stream could have been different, but the videotape version, not only, as you can see, you can't really tell that the crowd, according to reports, there was about 500 people in the 4,000 seat Manatee Civic Center, which apparently is about 45 minutes outside Tampa. You couldn't really tell the way it was lit. And there was so many stars on this. It was hosted by Bruno Sammartino and Craig DeGeorge. Craig DeGeorge was the former WWE announcer. There's a recent interview with John Paz on here. I enjoyed their commentary, but let's go over the matches. The one match that didn't air on the DVD or on the VHS was Boris Zukov versus Paul Sampson. If this match did air on the VHS, I must have fallen asleep because I don't remember it, but looking at the official results, that was a match. So that was either a dark match or only aired on pay-per-view itself. They didn't include it due to time restraints on the VHS, which was just under 2 hours. By the way, I have interviewed Boris Zukov, who said he was a fan of the Hannibal TV. In the interview, as well as Nikolai Volkov. Nikolai Volkov was still with WWE at this time. The Black Hearts, Apocalypse and Destruction, with Luna Vachon defeated Firecat and Jim Cooper. The thing I saw about the Black Hearts in this with Luna, who there's no surprise why Luna was hired by WWE, and Gangrel, one of the Black Hearts, eventually was in WWE. By the way, I've wrestled twice. Really enjoy wrestling him as an opponent. Very tough guy. This is the Black Hearts gimmick when they came out with the white masks and came out for this match. It was good with Luna being crazy and so unique. They could have made it in WWE or WCW. They may not have had the top bodies at this time, but overall the gimmick and Luna coming out with the snake, they looked really, really good. Lots of music. They used Shane Douglas's ECW music in this, by the way, which was before, of course. I mean, I think Shane Douglas was in WWE in '91 as a low card babyface, I believe. But they definitely weren't too worried about royalties for this pay per view. The Black Hearts also, there was a weird segment. This was the dumbest thing of the whole show. And maybe it was due to time, or maybe Lou Albano could have been famously drunk. But there was later also a segment, it's supposed to be an in-ring captain's corner interview with the Black Hearts, where he comes to the ring and he basically says he doesn't like that Luna Vachon has a python on her, so he's not doing the interview. And he leaves the ring. And that's the whole interview. It's very anticlimactic. Terry Gordy then fights Johnny Ace in a street fight. Good match, other than it's supposed to be a no disqualification, no rules street fight. And it very quickly turns into a double count out. And then they continue to fight for, I believe, longer after the match than the whole match took. And for a match that was supposed to be a street fight, the first 5 minutes of it was technical wrestling. And I mean, it was a good match. I'm not complaining about the match, but why make it a street fight if you're going to count the guys out so fast? And there was no blood in this match. There was blood used later on in the show. Honestly, Johnny Ace is not a bad wrestler. Both these guys are big guys. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about the match other than a street fight ending in a double countout, and then them continuing the match for so long after was bizarre. The Killer Bees, Brian Blair and Jim Ronzell, who Brian Blair claims to be the booker of the UWF. He's from the Tampa area. They were known as Mass Confusion during this time. They defeated the Power Twins, tag team match. At one point, Mass Confusion is they both put on the masks, and this is kind of a heel tactic. They did this in WWE. Even though they have totally different body types. Like anyone that knows Brian Blair and Jim Brunzell, like Jim Brunzell is more stocky. He's fit but stocky. Brian Blair's a bit taller, leaner, more muscular. They did the Mass Confusion gimmick. It's funny, Bruno Sammartino on commentary saying, I think I know that this one is Jim Brunzell, but I'm not sure these guys in the ring are smart enough to know the difference on them when they put the mask on. The whole card had to be on cover. I don't know about that. The whole card was pretty good. The matches on this were pretty good. I like that there was not a single super kick. I mean, overall, the matches were good. Rockin' Robin defeated Candy Divine. Candy Divine, gorgeous these days. Rockin' Robin, I've done an interview with. Good match. No critique on this match. It's a good match. Paul Orndorff defeated the racist gimmick Colonel De Beers in a strap match. Not a bad match. It ends with Colonel De Beers after the match going after Paul Orndorff with the taser. So I guess that feud must have continued on. I mean, Paul Orndorff, great heel, great face. No question, Hall of Famer. I did probably his last interview ever. Then we have Bob Backlund defeating Ivan Koloff with Mr. Red in a square. Okay, so Bob Backlund, this was his UWF debut. It's funny how straight and narrow Bruno Sammartino and Bob Backlund are, yet they're both wrestling for Herb Simmons, which goes to show you in wrestling, all that matters is money. I mean, remember how much Bruno Sammartino hated WWE for years? Then they paid him whatever to go in the Hall of Fame, and his attitude changed. I guess everybody has a price, and I'm not saying I don't, to be honest. My dad might not have a price. He's an incredibly honest and honorable individual. But it's interesting that Bob Backlund beat Ivan Koloff very quickly in this match. Ivan looked good. Of course, Ivan died of Hep C as well and was a bleeder. But Bruno never mentions on commentary that Ivan was the one that beat him for the title. It's funny that Bob Backlund comes out kissing and hugging kids and kisses and hugs kids after matches. Just how times have changed. If you were to do that in 2023, if you were a 40-something-year-old man coming out and hugging and kissing small children, that just would not get over at all. You'd be considered weird, and you get so much heat for that. But in this day and age, 91, that was a babyface thing to do. Wet and Wild, Stevie Ray and Sonny Beach defeated Cactus Jack and Bob Orton Jr. with John Tolos, the Golden Greek, who was in one of my favorite movies, Grunt the Wrestling movie. Also played the coach on WWE Managed Mr. Perfect. And I believe the Beverly Brothers as well. Which was weird when they brought John Tolos into WWE randomly, replacing Heenan. And I can't remember if he managed the Beverly Brothers before or after the Genius. I do remember meeting John Tolos once at the Cauliflower Alley Club 2002, I believe it was, or 2004 maybe. 2004. He told me that he had invested very well in real estate and was very well off financially. He randomly just told me that while we were waiting in line for food. I guess he was giving me advice. which I guess I should have taken. Hello, what's real? The match itself, Cactus Jack got color. I did not like this match. It was boring. After the match with Cactus Jack fighting Bob Orton Jr., that was good. Cactus Jack was really over here. No doubt there was a future in Mick Foley, but the first team that they fought, oh my God. That was the worst match of the card, the most unentertaining match of the card to me. But the fight afterwards with Orton, who I've interviewed Bob Orton, and Mick Foley, who there's an interview on this channel with from Rick Bassman. That was good. And then finally, it was Steve Williams defeating Bam Bam Bigelow to become the first UWF Sports Channel television champion. They were claiming the belt was worth $100,000. Good match. Both men bled. Hard-hitting match. Steve Williams won. As I said, the VHS was just under 2 hours. Good match overall. How's the movie doing, Doosan? It's going to happen. There were scenes shot for it. There were some casting issues with the original producers and a certain cast member that I don't really want to get into it, that I paid an expensive plane ticket for. Didn't end up coming, which delayed the initial shooting of it. It will eventually be finished. As I mentioned at the start of this, I got a broken leg. I would say maybe towards this time in 2024, I'll get it done. I invested probably $15,000 in it up to this point. So I will get it finished. The good thing about a movie is you can shoot it over years, but it will be eventually done, the Blood Hunter one. But right now, focusing on the channel and wishing good luck to Jack Kilby. He's got a big event coming up, Great North Wrestling. Saturday, November 4th. I am going to be hosting this event in Renfrew, Ontario. So hope to see you all there. And again, for people saying this was one of the worst pay-per-views ever, God, no. There's far worse. Far, 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 far worse. And 500 people. You know what? Brian Blair's from the Tampa area. Maybe I understand that Herb had his issues. I understand it. But I think if a lot of the wrestlers hadn't, and I know how wrestlers are, that a lot of them can be greedy. And I'm not saying, I was just baby at this time. It's like 8 years old. So I don't know how everyone was, but I'm sure a lot of them were just collecting paychecks. But I think if more people had tried to help keep Herb straight during the times of these shows, and I know that's not necessarily in your job description, but not only that, but keep Herb straight, but like help with the promotion. Because you got Bruno Sammartino, all these stars on a show, and you can't get 4,000 people in a building. In 91, wrestling was still fairly hot. It wasn't like it was 93, 94. Wrestling was dead. But as I said, I don't think it's horrible crowd, considering WCW wasn't drawing much more than that, a lot of their shows around that time. And the show itself was good overall. I enjoyed it more than any other wrestling show I've seen this year. With a close second being the Dynamite I saw from Winnipeg. I thought that was a pretty good show. So wish everyone a good night. Let me know what you thought of the pay-per-view. And it is posted free on YouTube as well. I just happened to watch the VHS the other day because I was having Wi-Fi issue at my residence. So I decided to pop in VHS and go old school and watch some UWF. And I quite enjoyed it.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Twitter